Welcome back, everyone. This is the second of a four-part video series looking back at the TV series Infinity Train, today's topic being the second season. So if you didn't see the first video, be sure to check it out, links in the description. But anyways, let me start by asking you a question. If a deer falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Yes. Yes, it does, apparently. That happened in the family tree car, which is just one example of how creative the train cars are in Season 2. This car is literally a gigantic family tree on which the two different families constantly bicker and hate each other. The entire episode we see each family hating on the other, their hatred causing the tree to continue to grow. But when MT and Jesse reach the bottom, the strongest and simplest part of the tree, we see that the entire thing began because of the love of one member of one family for another member of the other family. In the episode before this, there is the black market car, the look of which honestly reminded me of the Coruscant underworld. In the third episode, there's the map car. In order to get to the door, they had to find different pieces of the map, because it is only by doing so that their way across can be seen. And when the map is complete, it transforms into reality. How cool is that? The most unique car, though, is in the fourth episode. It is literally just a blank car with nothing but a toad inside. The only way to get out of the car is to kick the toad, but the toad hates being kicked. You can see the ethical dilemma of this car. This is one of Season 2's greatest strengths when compared to the other seasons. The cars are unique, unpredictable, and original. But you're not here to listen to me talk about the ins and outs of the train, are you? You're here for an analysis of the adventures of Alan Dracula, Jesse, and most importantly, MT. MT's story begins back in the first season. In order to escape the Chrome car, Tulip and MT, Mirror Tulip, had to switch dimensions. But MT didn't want to be Tulip's reflection anymore. She wanted to escape the Chrome car, go make her own memories, live her own life. And with Tulip's help, she does so. But unfortunately, doing this is against mirror law, so this season has MT on the run. The chase in the first episode was an excellent way to start the season. Having the cops be able to chase her through other reflections, such as a pool of water on the roof, was a great touch, and really made MT's position feel all the more desperate. And really somewhat hopeless. But thanks to Alan Dracula, MT manages to escape. Her desire to be independent is tested here. Her entire existence was spent at Tulip's side, so MT links freedom with solitude. But like I said, Alan Dracula tests this as he brings joy to her otherwise dull, depressing existence. It's Jesse, though, that really forces MT to reconsider her desire to be alone. Interestingly enough, it's in the family tree car I just discussed that she does this. She is surrounded by people who spend their entire existence together, yet all they ever do is bicker. And even in such a situation, Jesse still views the situation optimistically. He tries to strike a compromise between the opposing sides, tries to befriend MT despite her obvious desire to be rid of him. And clearly this leads MT to have a soft spot for Jesse. At the end of the episode, when he celebrates the decision to call the deer Alan Dracula, MT smiles. She still claims she isn't his friend, but she doesn't entirely believe this. In the map car, MT forces Jesse to do the heavy lifting in the hopes of getting his number to 0, claiming she wants to be rid of him so she can be alone with the deer. This, compounded by the fact that she can't swim, leads Jesse to swim over to the missing piece of the map. The wind, however, does not wish for him to complete the map, so it keeps blowing the water, breaking their boat in half. To reach the exit, Jesse needs to draw it on the map, and to do so he needs more paper. But MT refuses to give him the wanted poster of her. Despite her increasing opinion of him, despite continuing to get to know him, she refuses to open up about herself. This backfires in the next episode, but before we discuss that, the map car reveals something interesting about Jesse. Jesse has been nothing but nice to everyone, from the deer to MT to the family tree. At first, he came across as someone who didn't really need to be on the train, especially when comparing this kind-hearted kid to Tulip. But in this episode, he shows us that he is too kind, too selfless. He's a yes man. He will do anything in order to get people to like him, in order to fit in. He learned the butterfly swimming technique in order to make his teammates happy, despite his desire to swim freestyle. It's by swimming, though, that he is able to save the day, and the group has a moment of calm in which MT admires her surroundings until she sees her reflection in the water, and, of course, the cops jump through. The two flee to the towed car, locking the police outside. This is when Jesse sees MT's wanted poster and begins to consider the fact that she isn't really his friend. Meanwhile, the only way out is for Jesse to kick the toad, something he knows is wrong and thus doesn't do. So the group spends the night in the car, and we get more insight as to why Jesse's on the train. He watches a video on his phone in which he and his friends pressure his little brother Nate into doing a dangerous stunt. They make fun of him when he gets hurt because of it. It's clear that Jesse didn't want his brother to get hurt, physically or emotionally, yet he did nothing to stop either. Like I said, he's a yes man, and MT calls him out for this.
Why should I trust somebody who sells out his own brother?
And it's through seeing how bad his friends outside the train are that MT realizes that she comes across the same, giving the police are after her. So she opens up to Jesse about her past, and the two are friends again. The toad, inspired, allows them to kick him, and Jesse, knowing that his number will go up if he does, is still willing to do it if it means saving his friend. So his number goes down. The fifth episode, in which a parasite takes control of Alan Dracula, may seem like filler, but is in fact far from it. It serves as an analogy for peer pressure. It helps show Jesse the problem that is caused when you spend your life furthering another's goals rather than your own. It shows us that people like Jesse's friends, who pressure him to go against his conscience, are really just parasites, not worth his time, or ours. It's in the sixth episode, though, that the show really gets good, and no, I take that back. It's when this season goes from good to great. It opens with a crap ton of cameos, from Randall to the Wizard to Khaki Bottoms. They add to the scale of the carnival, emphasizing the fact that this is an important place, and clearly it is, because only one person is permitted to leave every month. And someone else is already after the prize, so MT and Jesse have to work together to amass 1,000 points before the mysterious stranger, but not before this happens.
Everything and everyone on this train wants me to fail.
And who cares about them? Once my number gets to 0, we're all leaving anyway.
What? You want me to come with you?
Yeah, you're my friend. See? Even my number knows you should come back with me.
Well, if your number thinks so, I guess I should.
Everything about this scene is perfect, from Jesse's genuine and slightly naive disposition to MT's flattered response. This is one of the sweetest scenes in the series, and it made me audibly go, "Aww," something I rarely do. On top of that, though, this discussion gave MT a goal, a reason to apply herself to the games, to really try to get to 1,000 points first. And of course, the duo succeed in doing so. But after they spend too much time trying to get Alan Dracula out of the vending machine, the stranger beats them to the door. The stranger being none other than Grace.
This isn't over, Grace. Try me, the cat.
This is our first look at arguably the most compelling character in the series. But here she's anything but that. She's simple, two-dimensional. She's the head of the Apex, in charge of a cult, and naturally tries to recruit Jesse. He and MT split up, and it's clear that MT is slightly upset by this, but she trusts her friend, so she doesn't resist their separation. When he's gone, MT and Alan Dracula find out that while the Apex is kind to passengers, they mistreat the occupants, which they call nulls, not even a 0. They mistreat Alan Dracula, and when MT tries to stop them, they do the same to her. Simon, Grace's right-hand man, plans to wheel them both. I'm sure you can guess what that means, and if not, it's pretty easy to figure out. Meanwhile, Grace tries to recruit Jesse while taking him with her on a recon mission. At first, everything seems cool. They harpoon to the car in question and check it out. But over the course of the mission, Grace tries to slowly plant the thought in Jesse's mind that MT is inferior to him. How she does this is quite clever too. She starts by saying that MT is interesting, then by changing the word interesting to different. And then she argues that MT's purpose is to serve them, the passengers. She, without outright saying it, changes her description of MT specifically from different to worthless. She then pressures Jesse into wrecking the car, which he does with a kick. It's interesting, in MT's presence he refused to kick the toad, but now he so easily gives into peer pressure and kicks this cube. Clearly, old habits die hard. For pretty much this entire season, he has either done MT's bidding or Grace's. Grace says she's proud of him, and the two return to the Apex's train car, where Jesse sees them mistreating his friends, openly trying to kill them. Like I said, old habits die hard, but it's here that after everything he has gone through, everything he has seen, everything he has learned, Jesse refuses to be anyone else's tool. He breaks MT and Alan Dracula free and attempts to run away with them. And because of his kindness, his refusal to give in to peer pressure, his courage to do the right thing, his number reaches 0. His door opens and he and MT run through it. Except that MT can't run through it, and Jesse goes home without her. Heartbroken, shocked, scared, MT sits on the floor in tears, the police finally catching up to her. This is truly a heartbreaking scene. I was genuinely moved. Jesse's attempt to rescue his friend unwittingly turned into his abandonment of her, at literally the worst time possible. MT can't even have a moment to collect herself before she's forced to run. She flees onto the top of the train, but she and one of the cops fall off, the cop getting cut in half. Earlier, Grace told Jesse that the point of MT's existence was to serve him. This point is brought up again here, this time by the cop, and this time directly to the individual in question. He brings up that everything MT did back in Season 1, her desire to leave the Chrome car, was programmed into her, because the only way for Tulip to escape was for her to switch places with MT, and her desire to leave the train to escape the drab existence of reflecting another was there so that Tulip could see that the train isn't always right. She was meant to convince Tulip to remove the glove covering her number. This can be seen later on when Tulip is in the tape car and 1-1 says,
"You're exactly where you're supposed to be."
And what if he's right? What if MT's friendship with the deer was just there to get her to travel with Jesse? What if her friendship with him was meant solely to serve as a means to help Jesse deal with his problems? To get off the train? But MT refuses to believe herself to be anything less than human, of course, so she demands to be treated as such. She kills the cop in order to survive. She kicks the old man out of his pod in order to get to the tape car. She tries to steal someone else's number. She destroys the train car until 1-1 arrives and promises to do anything, if only to someday get off the train and find her friend. She so steadfastly believes herself to be human, to be just as important as any other passenger. But if Jesse came back on the train because he wanted her to leave with him, if he had a problem with MT being on the train, wouldn't the theory of her being inferior be validated by this? By the fact that she leaves? Well, yes. But such a train of thought is missing something. Such a train of thought is missing the final scene of the season. MT wakes up. She stands and looks around. Both her and Jesse are silent as she does. She wipes her eyes as her tears swell. "I'm off the train," she says. She looks out, sees the sun, the trees, the water. Jesse's brother runs over and introduces himself, and as MT looks out, pondering what to call herself in response, she glances at the water. She glances at the reflection, and she doesn't see Tulip. She doesn't see the cops. She sees a person. She sees herself. She sees Lake. What a masterful way to answer such a difficult question. What an incredible end to Lake's adventure, and what a start to the rest of her life. She has proven to the world that she's not a null, that she's not worthless. She's a person, and she matters. With everything going on in the world right now, this is such an important lesson to remember. No matter who you are, no matter the color of your skin, your race, your nationality, your sexual orientation, your religion, you are a person, and you matter. You deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and anyone who does not do so should be held accountable. And in the next video, in Season 3 of Infinity Train, the Apex has to learn this lesson.